So I was going to do this whole spiel about resonating pi bonds, and reflecting light is actually the light which is reflected off of the object which you perceive as color, and is not necessarily the true intrinsic color of the object because it's not absorbing whatever color it is. However, I'll instead just make it short and sweet. Black people are light if you were able to perceive your vision under the ultraviolet spectrum itself, rather than in what we deem as a wavelength of light within the visible spectrum. And white people are perceived more so as black under the ultraviolet spectrum of light than black people. So again, like with many things, intelligence and morphological features and everything far and in between is relative and has to do with the conditions set forth, in which we must weigh the conditions and say, all right, so from this point of view and from this angle it's this, however from over here it's this. So yeah, white people are black and black people can be white. However, it all depends upon what side of the coin you're looking at. And if you could see an ultraviolet, then white people would be black and black people would be white, because white people more effectively and actually more profusely absorb ultraviolet spectrums versus visible light spectrums, whereas black people absorb visible light spectrums more readily, which make them appear black instead of ultraviolet, because they grew up in an environment which, over millennia and generations and upon generations, they received lots and lots and lots of sunlight. So it's like a double-edged sword. They still need vitamin D, but they need to protect themselves from sunlight. But due to the fact that they receive so much sunlight, they don't necessarily have to absorb so much ultraviolet to produce the vitamin D they need. So a lot of that goes into a protective barrier. However, it makes it so that they have to receive more sunlight than somebody with non-melanated skin, because the person with non-melanated skin has to more effectively utilize the sunlight they receive to produce the vitamin D, because they probably grew up in an environment which actually housed less sunlight for them to experience, so they had to make the most out of what it was that they got. And there you have it. If we go back to common ancestors, and a lot of people think that the first divergence within the species itself was the loss of its protective layer of hair and the formation of sweat glands. And as we no longer needed hair to protect ourselves from the sunlight, certain populations moved to different regions and areas. And as they did so, different conditions were set forth. And there's a lot of different variables which come into play, such as diet and, such as the types of clothing even that people had to utilize to live within the environment they found themselves within. And this is why you see a huge, broad range of varieties of skin tones within the human species itself. And there you have it. Color as you perceive it is not necessarily the true intrinsic color of the object it is that you're looking at, because that's more so of actually what it's not. Yep, there you have it. White people can be black and black people can be white, but it's all about how you look at it. Later.